All right. So we're in part 4 of our discussion of Hashgacha Protis. We explained the pre-Chassidus view that Hashgacha Protis is determined based on reward and punishment, and therefore individualized supervision is only important for those who have free choice to be rewarded and punished. But animals, plants don't have reward and punishment, and therefore no need to supervise them individually. We explained the Chassidus view, which is that Hashem's Hashgacha Protis supervision is based on purpose. Right? Different places in Chassidus, but the way we learned it here is that the fact that Hashem brings it into being every moment, that is the supervision. There are other places in Chassidus where it learns otherwise, but this is how we learned here. Hashem brings it into being every moment for a purpose, and therefore that's the supervision. Is it in the right place at the right time to fulfill its purpose? Now, whether you go with the view that Hashem supervises only humans individually, or you go with the view that Hashem views everything individually, it doesn't preclude Hashem's knowledge of everything. Hashem knows everything because it's all within Him. I don't think we saw the text inside, but that's from the Sefer Ikim if you want to have a look at it. There's a paper there. And then yesterday we explained the reconciliation between both of them. There's an external supervision, which the Rabbi explained based on the Mittel Rabbi. Hashem's external supervision is the way in which Hashem supervises the world embedded in nature. And the supervision over all of existence as it's embedded in nature extends to every single creature. That we learned from the Sikha, and that's in the first 2 pages of the packet here. And then there's an internal supervision, which is not even though it happens in nature, but it's not subject to nature, so to speak. Hashem's supervision is open and revealed. That's the Pnimius, that's an internal supervision. And that extends to Yidden, and specifically people who maintain their connection with Hashem. But if they disconnect themselves from Hashem, so Hashem casts them out of the internal supervision and they're cast off to the general supervision of nature. And this way the Rebbe reconciles the Rambam with pre-Chassidus, the pre and post-Chassidus. When the Rambam says that supervision is only over human beings, it means the pneumistic supervision, the kind of supervision where Hashem is not just running the world as a natural order, but the way Hashem is manipulating nature to or even doing a miracle for that which He wants to accomplish. Whereas when Chassidus says that everything is under divine supervision, individually speaking, that is the way in which the external Hashgacha, that is the way divine supervision is embedded and subject to the rules of nature. Okay. The last piece of this puzzle is the matter of free choice versus determinism. Right? And there's 2 different levels here, especially when you break it down in the morning, especially when you break it down in the Chassidus model. Right? Well, let's do the pre-Chassidus model first. In the pre-Chassidus model, where individualized supervision, right, over everything, is because Hashem is watching to reward and punish. So reward and punish is only a thing if there's free choice. So in the pre-Chassidus model, we have to deal with Yediyah versus Bechira. That is, Hashem's knowledge of everything versus the free choice that each individual has. Hashgacha doesn't really get in the way. But once you come to, in other words, Hashem's supervision, let me put it this way, it's almost as if, from the pre-Chassidus version, that supervision comes only after creation and within His knowledge. Hashem knows everything. Everything's created. Now Hashem is supervising. So Hashem is supervising to see, are you going to behave the way He's supposed to, reward or punish? Right? So that's not a problem to free choice. The problem to free choice is the fact that everything is known to Him. If everything's known to Him, then where's the free choice? He knows already what I'm going to do, what I'm not going to do. But once you get to Chassidus, the problem gets even deeper. Because when you get to Chassidus, where everything is created every single moment by Hashem, and divine supervision is no longer that there's a created world and Hashem is supervising to see if it's running the way He's supposed to. But on the contrary, Hashem is making everything every single moment in such a manner that it should fulfill the purpose for which He has for it. Which means that from the moment of its creation, it's already determined in such a manner that it should fulfill its purpose. So where's the free choice? If it's all being created every single moment in such a manner that's fulfilling its purpose. That almost sounds like it's quite literally determinism. So with the Chassidus, the problem gets a little deeper. But as we're going to see, we're going to learn here the Rambam. Those who want to say that a person is predetermined, it's really environmental. So, or in modern terms, you would say that if a person is purely a product of just biology, then he doesn't have any free choice. Because your biology is programmed to run in a certain way, react to surroundings in a certain way, and to think in a certain way, and to process thoughts in a certain way. And when do you ever have the free choice to decide one way or the other?
So
you think you're
someone, move them aside so they don't hurt anyone else, but don't punish them for when they do something wrong. It's not their fault, right?
Essentially, sorry.
Yeah, but not everyone acts the same way in the same case. So there is choice.
Not everybody's biology is the same. Not everybody's environment is the same.
Yeah, but if you're in the same environment, the biology is.
But nothing
we're all
is
human,
exactly
right?
the
Same
same.
way.
Nothing is exactly the same, and therefore every single thing essentially should, in that, if you're purely a product of evolution, then nothing of you is by free choice. You're just the product of millions of years of whatever evolved, and you're just a bag of cells that happens to be running around and behaving in such and such a manner. And part of that such and such a manner is that you think you're doing things by free choice, but you're not really doing things by free choice. You're doing things by chemical reactions of a bunch of different things. That's the way many modern atheists will view reality. So, and this is what I wanted to say earlier, that in the flip side of this whole thing is that the truth is, you can only have free choice if you believe in Hashem. Free choice is only true if you believe that there's something bigger than just the biology that gives you the ability to have free choice. So even though we're saying at the beginning that the question is how does God know and therefore has free choice, it seems like if God knows everything, how can I have free choice? The flip side is that the truth is only Hashem can give you free choice. If there's no reality that's bigger than this world that says you are in let me put it this way. Imagine you're a gamer. You program games, right? So what you want to do is you want to create a character in the game that's unpredictable. It's unpredictable, right? So the person playing the game can't predict the moves of every single part of the game, otherwise the game is boring. So what happens when you have, no matter how, so the genius of the gamer is to figure out to make the most complicated system, so take even the most professional gamer the longest amount of time to figure out every single detail of the game. And that way, at least for that time, he has fun playing. But the moment the person playing the game knows the prediction of every single detail of the game is boring. Now he just plays, goes right through it, knows what to do when. Right? So in other words, because each character that's been invented inside of this game has pre-coded reactions to every possible scenario that can happen in that game. And that's essentially, the point is that if all we are is pre-programmed biological creatures, then we have no free choice. We indeed have no free choice, just like a character in a computer game. But the only way in which we have free choice is if there's a divine entity, right, that itself has real free choice, and it can put into this game it created called biology and say this character is going to do whatever it wants. It's the ultimate feat. And it's only possible b'chei kaboda. It's only possible when you're talking about a creator. And the truth is, in a way, this is really the deepest meaning of being created b'tzelem Elokim, and this is what he's referring to in this pasuk. Right? It's only like one of us, speaking about divine entities. It's only when there is a divine consciousness of existence that itself has free choice that it can say, this is going to have free choice like me.
Who's us?
The angels.
Don't have free choice.
The angels. Sorry?
Often don't have free choice.
It's a good question. They don't, because the Taka don't have.
None of them have.
Just say divine entities.
Robots.
Divine entities, let's put it that way. Because malachim are like robots, you're right. The angels are like robots. They're like animals predetermined. But that still doesn't help us. So even if we acknowledge that self-consciousness and therefore free choice is only the product of a creator and cannot be just a product of our environment, if we're just a product of environment, then we're predetermined from birth to react certain ways, even before our births. But this question still becomes, Hashem knows everything, and how do we have free choice? And moreover, like we're learning in Chassidus, Hashem brings everything into being every single moment. So how do we have free choice if Hashem's bringing everything into being every moment? I already gave a little bit of the answer, but let's see. So let's look in the Rambam.
The last line, right?
Let's first learn Halacha Hey, then we'll go to Halacha Daled. Because Halacha Hey addresses the prefix of this version, and Halacha Daled we can find the answer to the question when you have Chassidus. It's on these two loose pages. This is from Hilchas Tshuva, Perek Hey, Halacha Hey. So Tshuva, of course, the halachas of Tshuva is all about a person doing Teshuvah, which is all based on free choice. A person has the choice to sin, to get punished, to do mitzvahs, to get rewarded, right? All the reward and punishment discussions in the Rambam are Hilchas Tshuva. So Shema Chaimer, perhaps might say, says the Rambam, Hashem knows everything that's going to happen. And before it even happens, Yada, Hashem knows, this is going to be a tzaddik, or this one's going to be a wicked, or Hashem doesn't know.
How does Hashem not know?
Sorry?
How does Hashem not know?
So, no, it's either or. He's asking, he's posing the question. If you say this way, if you say that way, it's either way, it's a problem. If Hashem already knows the person is going to be a tzaddik, it's impossible for him not to be a tzaddik. But if you say that Hashem knows that he's going to be a tzaddik, but he still has the free choice to be a wicked, it means Hashem didn't really know. So either way, what happens? If Hashem knows he's going to be a tzaddik, then he has to be a tzaddik. And if Hashem knows he's going to be a tzaddik, but he still has a free choice not to be a tzaddik, then Hashem really didn't know. So Rambam says like this. You should know. The answer to this question, it's longer than any measurement, and broader than the ocean. It's paraphrasing the verse. And various different foundations, and lofty thoughts, dependent on the answer to this. But you should know, and to understand this, I'm about to tell you. I already explained to you in chapter 2 of the laws of Siddha Torah, the laws of the foundation of Torah, the first laws of the Rambam. That God, He doesn't know of knowledge. We talked about this in previous classes here. He doesn't know information that's outside of him, can be other like human beings. That they and the knowledge they acquire are two separate entities. That's the way human people understand things. Human beings. Information is outside of me and I go acquire it. Elohu Yisala Shmoi, but he, may his name be lofty and exalted. The Daita and his knowledge, Echad are one. That is, the information he knows is not outside of him, but it's of him. So when you say Hashem knows someone's going to be a tzaddik, it doesn't mean that Hashem is standing outside, looking at this person before he becomes a tzaddik, and says, I know he's going to be a tzaddik. All of the knowledge of the future is not because he sees the future outside of him, and not because he made it, because it's within him. So the choices are within him. So it's not that you don't have any free choices, but the choice and all the options of the choices and whatever it is that it is, all exists within him. And therefore, his knowledge of you doesn't preclude the fact that you have free choice. It would only preclude free choice if you were outside of him and he was compelling you to do something. His knowledge of you is not compelling you to do anything, because his knowledge of you is within him. So we used the example of imagination in the previous class. It's not a perfect example, but in your imagination, you know everything that's inside your imagination automatically gets within you. Right? So if you gave one character in your imagination, theoretically, it's not really possible, but in theory, you gave it free choice, right? So all the things that happens inside of your brain, even though on some level it's happening at random, you still know about all of it. Now imagine that, but with three-dimensional view. In other words, because our knowledge of our imagination is only in the moment that I'm thinking about it. I don't know yet what my imagination is going to do in an hour from now. Right? But when you're talking about the knowledge of the future is also within him. When you're thinking of time as a linear, as a line, right? And it starts here, and it slowly progresses, and if you're standing here, you know the future, then you predetermine the future. It's not predetermined because there is no pre of what? Pre what? It's not like this, Hashem is standing at this point in time, looking at that point in time. The whole thing is within him. It's very difficult to understand. And as Rambam says, it's not possible for the mind of man to comprehend this. We don't comprehend what it means that everything, past, present, and future, is all known to you because it's inside of you. We can't even imagine it. Because even our imagination, which is knowledge that's inside of our own heads, and if we know everything automatically, we only know about it in the present, not the future. The future, even of our imagination, is not known to us yet. And the same way it's not in the power of man to properly understand the truth of Hashem himself, even without understanding his knowledge, just understanding Hashem himself. The unity of Hashem, the oneness of Hashem, and the essential being of Hashem that has no primary cause and all the other things that Rambam describes, it's not fully possible to comprehend this. It says, no one will see God and live. Likewise, it's impossible for man to fully comprehend the knowledge of Hashem. Because he and his knowledge are one. This is what the prophet says, my thoughts are not your thoughts, and your ways are not my ways. It's impossible for a human being to fully comprehend this.
All right, so we're back to a moment.
Sorry?
You have to just take for a
1
fact
second.
that
1 second.
there is no-
I'm going to address that in a second. The kivin she came there, and since it's such, we have no ability to understand how Hashem knows everything that we're going to do. But we do know without a doubt. Man's actions are in the hands of man. And God does not draw him or impose upon him to behave a certain way. And not just because of we're accepting by religion like that. No, we know this. We know this from proofs from wisdom. I think he's referring to science. We know that people have free choice. Not sure what he's referring to. We praise that therefore. And therefore we know by prophecy from Hashem that a person is judged by his actions. If he might have, according to his actions, if they're good and rather they're good. And this is the main thing that everything's based on. Because if there is no free choice, then what's Hashem commanding us to do anything for? And what's the reward and punishment for if there's no free choice? Now to address your point, and I want to make this very clear. We don't have a lot of time, but I want to address this. This is very important. When what's the pshat emunah? What do we mean when we say have faith? And the Alter Rebbe does a very similar thing. And that talks about Hashem and Elohim being one. Hashem's revelation and his concealment are one. So he says, Hashem and his revelation are one. And the same way you don't understand Hashem, and you don't understand how Hashem is one with his revelation, you won't understand how Hashem is one with his concealment, and you won't understand how his concealment is one with his revelation. That's a summary of the first 6 chapters of Shayach Emunah. So, what's the Alter Rebbe doing wasting his time on 6 chapters? Just say it in 1 paragraph, you're never going to understand it. Close the book. And that's not what he's doing here either. Because he starts up by saying, you should know and understand this. So he just finished saying you can't understand it. What's telling you to understand? You need to understand what and why and how it is you can't understand. No, I'm serious. It's very important. Faith is not that you close your mind and say, now I believe because I can't explain it. You need to push the limits of what it is it's possible to understand and then say God is beyond that. Because if you can understand it, then that's not Hashem. Everything that you can possibly comprehend is a creation of Hashem. If it's a creation of Hashem, then if you can identify it, then that's not the essence of Hashem. And that's the exercise here, to understand what are the limits of knowledge. And why is it that I cannot understand what it means to see the future and not determine it? Why is that? Because my knowledge is outside of me, and if I knew the future, then it has to be that way. So let's get down to what's the real premise for why my knowledge would predetermine something, because the knowledge and me are separate. Now that I identified that, and I could say, 1 second, Hashem is a unison that like no other, and there is nothing outside of him. So even the knowledge of the future is not outside of him. So whatever is holding me back from knowing something without determining it doesn't exist for Hashem. Because my knowledge of something in the future would determine it, because it's in the future. It's outside of me in the future. And if I knew it, I would be predetermining it. But if I understand that that's a fallacy of human beings, where my knowledge of the future is outside of me, or any knowledge is outside of me. And for Hashem, his knowledge is not outside of me, so I know, even though I can't understand how it's possible, but I know for certain that the problems that I run into, Hashem doesn't run into. So I understand what it is I don't understand about Hashem. Following? This is key in all of faith. Faith is not just blind faith, close the book, I don't understand. You need to be able to identify and understand what it is you don't understand. That's what I'm doing here. He's telling you, you want to know what you can't understand? Here is the essence of what you can't understand. You can't understand Hashem's unity. At the essence. Because you look around and you see billions and billions of things. Me, and there's a billion other things. So Hashem is one. And there is no other truth but him. Because everything is one and within him, including his knowledge. His knowledge of the future. And therefore doesn't predetermine it. And therefore you can identify and say, here's what I don't understand. Now, we don't have a lot of time.
So does Hashem have free will?
The ultimate free will. And our free will comes from his free will, as this explains. The reason why we have free will is because we have a piece of him. Because he's the only thing that isn't predetermined. Once Hashem set in motion creation, everything follows a certain pattern. From the highest levels, as soon as Hashem sets the divine energy should flow in a certain manner, everything follows in a very logical system. Until you come to human beings and Hashem says, boom, there's going to be a human being that feels separate from me, and it'll have free choice. And this gets to our next thing.
How does Hashem have free will?
He chose to have the system. He's not subject to the system, he chose the system.
But how did he choose the system if he was already existent forever? It's not Hashem is just Hashem. Hashem
Right.
Is,
and he can choose anything. He can choose to have a system, not have a system. And he chose the system in such and such a fashion. I don't have a lot of time to explain it, but let's just say, think of it this way. All knowledge, all wisdom have certain, what they call them axioms, right? You have certain premises you accept as truth, a priori's, and then you build all the information on top of that, right? Once certain things are true, then all the things follow from there, right? Let's say in mathematics, once you accept that 1 + 1 = 2, everything else follows and makes sense. If I decided that 1 + 1 equals a bigger 1, then all the rules that follow in math fall apart, right? So there are certain truths you accept at the basis of every set of logic, and then you build everything else on top of it, right? So, and the Rambam says this when he describes God at the beginning of his halachas, that he is the ultimate truth from which everything else gets its truth. Right? In other words, the essence of Hashem is that it's the essence of isness, of being. And then everything else only makes sense once it flows from there. So once Hashem chose that there's going to be a being in such and such a fashion, now everything follows from there. And that's the ultimate free choice. It's the ultimate free choice. To be beyond any description that exists at all and determine what the descriptions should be. And once the descriptions are in place, everything makes sense. Until you come to humanity where Hashem says, okay, I'm going to give this person free choice. And that's what it really means to be B'Tselem Elokim, the image of Hashem. You're really given the free choice to be beyond the determinism. Okay, we still haven't addressed the issue of Chassidus. If Hashem is bringing everything into being every single moment, how do we have free choice if everything coming into being every moment? And okay, we don't have a lot of time, and the Rambam addresses it a little bit in the previous, even though he's not directly addressing it, but the previous halacha he does address it a little bit. And I'll just say this, because I don't know if we'll have a continuation of this. Maybe we'll elaborate on this in the next class, but we'll just say this for now. Because Hashem is bringing everything into being every single millisecond, right? Every single millisecond, on a continuous basis, everything is being brought into being. Then your free choice, all of the options are being brought into existence every single second. It's not like I'm being brought into existence every single second and my free choice lives somewhere else. The free choice itself is being brought into existence every single second. So as I choose in a certain way, all of the existence that's being brought into being every single second is being brought into being every single second with its free choice, with all the options, and constantly changing to match whatever's going on. And that's the ultimate of divine providence. That as I'm choosing, the whole world is being configured so that I can be in the right time and the right purpose as I'm choosing. And really, that's the only way free choice can exist in a real way. The only way free choice can exist in a real way is if every single moment Hashem brings me into being with all of my choices, with all of my options, in such a manner that I can choose whichever one, and then the world is recreated in such a second, every single millisecond, to match or with my free choice. With the choices and my free choice. And this is the depth of what the Rambam said. We read a little bit before, where the Rambam says that just like you're created with broad shoulders, you're created with free choice. Not at the beginning of creation. Not just the beginning of creation. But every single moment you're being brought into being with all the free choices. So why would it preclude you from choosing? Right? Free choice, as Hashem would preclude it, so to speak, is if I'm standing here, I'm looking at a line of events, and I choose one. If Hashem knows it already, then it's predetermined. But if everything is being brought into being every single second, including my choice, then as it's being brought into being with my ability to choose, I'm choosing. And then the world is created again with that choice and with all the options that come along with it. It's not like it's again, 1 second, 1 second, 1 second. It's a continuous bringing into being. And really, it's the only way there's free choice. Because if there's not that, then everything's predetermined by biology and by environmental circumstances. I hope we get some of it. Maybe we'll have another class. I won't be here tomorrow. Maybe the day after we'll continue.